Okay, simple DIY drill press hung on a wall. I'm a cabinet maker by trade, so this is called the ugly drill press because it ain't gorgeous. It looks like crap. But it took about an hour to put together, so it's not too bad. For those of you who are curious, I'll explain it kind of quick, but I won't show you the few tricks here. Okay, I'll just show you over here. I know this is kind of lame. You need a backer board of some type, okay, big guy. And what I would suggest that you do, okay, is make the backer board big enough, okay, to go across studs. In other words, stick in front of the studs if you don't have stuff on your walls, okay, so 16 inches or 24 inches wide, and high enough that it's going to, you can get all the junk on it, okay, just going to make life easier for you. Okay, they're very simple to make, okay, so if that was your backer board, for instance, you need a guide rail, right, except it'd probably be more over here, and you're going to need a facer, all right? Both sides. Squeeze them in tight. Away you go. You got a sliding board. Okay, breadboard under the counter, 101. Okay, they've been around for years. They work. The trick, okay, since I think most people would get that. Trick for that is I use melamine tape. Okay, it's iron-on. You can get it pretty much any lumber store. The reason it's on there, simple. Friction. I also put it on the edges. Okay, and you can use whatever you want. I usually use 5-ply plywood. It's exterior grade plywood spruce. Okay, it's cheap, it's easy to get, but more important, because it's only 5-ply, all plywood's going to bend and twist. Because it's 5-ply, it's a little easier to straighten out, so it's a little more forgiving. Okay, basically that's it. It means you can kind of tighten these things up. All right, and get everything bonded out. If you like glue, don't glue one side if you want, but don't do the other side, because you're going to wind up, this is going to get humid and knot, and it's going to expand and contract. It may give you trouble, so you need some adjustment. Okay, there's another way to do this. Okay, if you really want to get crazy. Okay, and it's basically a sliding board. A lot of machines use this. Call it French cleat. Okay, don't ask me why it's a French cleat. I haven't got a clue. Fix one side, so obviously that would be your backer board. That would be your cleats, except now you don't need a cover sheet because you got this guy. And what you need is eccentrics. I believe it could be eccentric. Okay, I'll show you in a second. Basically, all it is they move around like this. They're easy to make. If you got a lathe, it's perfect. Or if you get access to buy these things, but I usually just make them. Nothing more than a 1-inch dowel. You go to 1/2 inch if you want. Off-center hole. 1/4 inch piece of plywood and a couple of nails through it, clinched over with a hole that you kind of have to enlarge a little bit, right? When you put them in, make sure that you put both screws exactly the same way, so when you turn it, it's going to move out and down or out and up. Okay, it's just the way they work, because if you don't, you're going to have a little trouble. And that way, when things expand and contract, you've got some room to move. Okay, it's simple. Hammer drill. This guy is, I believe, 43 mil if in metric, but I'm not sure. It's 1 3/4 inch. Okay, this is 1 1/4 inch. If you're interested, this is 1 1/4 inch conduit clamp. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's 1 1/4 inch here. It's actually 1 3/4 inch, but it's the fit steel conduit or metal conduit. Okay, and they actually fit quite well and hold these types of drills in really well. How you mount them is up to you. It's just strap, right? Ain't gorgeous, but it works. Trigger mechanism is basically not a butterfly type, but it's a drywall anchor. Anything will work. I don't really recommend you do this, but you've only got a couple of choices. You can do this. You can keep it at full power, which is not a great idea if you want to try metal. Or you can put a router rheostat. Okay, don't try to use a dimmer, because your drill is probably more than 600 watts, so it's just not going to work. Other thing for safety, make sure you're close enough to a plug, or if you're running an extension cord, make sure that you're running 14 gauge wire to a switch, like a power bar. If you catch on to something, you're going to get it in the head. Very uncomfortable, right? So, backboard, there and there, right? Slides up and down, no big deal. It's got a bracket, it's got a piece of wire. I don't recommend you actually do that. Use plywood. This, I said, was done quickly. Okay, and it's got a block. And like I said, if you make everything high, everything goes on the back of the board, right? 3/8 dowel or 3/8 threaded rod, if you want. Nice to be able to stop your stuff if you want. Drywall screw in, small hole drywall screw. The reason I say drywall screws is they have a smaller shank, bigger threads, and they tend not to split stuff, right? These got to be square. You can cut off the front if you want, makes no difference. These I just use as bench dogs, normally to hold doors. And just a piece of plywood screwed on top. Whole trick with this, okay, because it's on a wall, okay, not inside studs, it doesn't matter where your wall is. You know, I've seen garages that are really crooked. It's all relative to square, not level. So in other words, when you put this in, you simply square your bit off this way, and you're good to go. You could be sitting like this, be awfully uncomfortable, but it's still going to drill a straight hole because it's all relative, right? So hopefully this has helped somebody. And surprising enough, they're pretty useful.